New day, new goals, let's own it. And in this episode, we're getting right back to it. Leaders Create Leaders, Season 4, the story of none other than rich 20-something Daniel Dipiazza. Man, this is an exciting episode. It's one of the most powerful ones that I've ever shot. We're gonna get into how did he become a conscious creator, a lifestyle entrepreneur that's literally went from zero, at one point almost becoming a lawyer, to a 7-figure entrepreneur, teaching and helping others to get clarity, tap into their purpose, and live the life that they always wanted as an entrepreneur. Then we're gonna get into really a deep story about his grandmother, how she, before passing away, really had a huge impact on his life, reading the journals that she left behind. And then we're gonna tap into psychedelics, something that I was a little worried about putting onto this episode, but I think it's a really interesting topic, and I'm gonna share a story that I've never shared publicly before, all around the sacred journey of psychedelics. And last but not least, what are some of the core business tactics that Daniel recommends if you wanna become a world-class leader? If you really wanna have that lifestyle and build that personal brand and really make a lot of money doing it, Daniel is the person to learn from. So let's get right to it. The story of none other than Daniel Dipiazza. Bro, thank you so much. I can't believe it. We're finally doing this.
Yeah, man.
I don't think we could have had a better set. This is like the dopest set that I've ever done.
The sun is rising over the mountains.
Yeah.
Crispy.
Yeah. You know, I see you on your Insta stories sometimes here every morning coming out, sun rising. It's like pink skies, purple skies. Really, really beautiful. So I'm so grateful for this moment. I just want to always start with gratitude. Gratitude for our friendship, gratitude for this unbelievable day that we are here, present, alive.
Yeah,
obviously, we have our entire Leaders Create Leaders community that is with us. Welcome, guys. We are on the beach of Santa Monica. I'm with a dear friend, Daniel Dipiazza, known as Rich 20-something. I know.
It's still the handle.
It's still the handle, right? Most recently had a birthday, though. You broke the 3-0, so welcome to the club.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of exciting things happening in your life. You're getting married.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. I'm a part of the celebration at Joshua Tree this week. So I'm extremely, extremely grateful. So first of all, just how you feel, bro?
I honestly, most ages you turn the next year, you don't feel different. 30 feels different, but it feels awesome.
Yeah, it does.
It feels awesome.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
It really does. Like, do you feel like it's a new chapter? Like, do you feel like 30 was like, nope, another year? Or do you feel like, okay, you know what? This is a new decade. I'm gonna just.
I feel like it's a brand new chapter. Of course, you can do that at any time. You can always say I'm starting fresh.
Yeah.
But there are certain milestones in your life that feel a little bit different. Part of it is because I've been using the idea of 20-somethings for 5 or 6 years to really showcase my message, and now because I'm not in the demographic that I talk to, it's forced me to think about what I learned in that 10-year period.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has come quickly in the past 2 or 3 years. When we were talking about this before we start rolling, how you saw my personality kind of change in the past 2 or 3 years, and that's been influencing my work since then and will into the future.
Yeah, I've seen you have so many breakthroughs, and the biggest thing for me that I want everyone to know is like Daniel has really been an unbelievable advocate of my work. He's become a really unbelievable friend, mentor. He's been someone who's obviously been supportive of like our whole movement with Leaders Create Leaders. And that's why I'm so grateful to have you on right now with Season 4. I think at a perfect moment, at a perfect time. Yeah. Really, when I've seen really a lot of transformation for yourself. Not only have you given transformation to so many others that are entrepreneurs out there, but what I love about you and what I love about this show is it's not so much about thought leaders. I like to bring people on the show that I believe are world-class leaders that are actually living it, right? They're not just going out there and talking about it. They are truly, truly living the experience that they share with the world. and the change that they want to see in the world. And you, my friend, live that authentic character 100%.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You gave me one of the biggest transformations of my entire life, spiritually, right? I want to talk about that. But my first question is this. Do you believe that our generation is asleep?
Well, I mean, there's layers to this, you know, because if we're already in a simulation, then maybe we're in a simulation in the simulation.
Right.
I mean, asleep, if we are asleep, it's not just our generation. It's everyone, you know, and I think that our generation is waking up.
Ah, yeah, I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
We are asleep, but we're waking up. And, you know, to be fair, there are many before us who've woken up.
Yes.
But I think
a lot of their work, actually has led to our generation being able to wake up.
Absolutely. And the same tools that are gluing us to the screen, the same black mirrors, the same devices we're tethered to, are the devices that could set us free. And it's not just the device, it's the fact that we have figured out a way to engineer an invisible network where our consciousness is connected with everyone around us now.
Yeah.
It's very hard to recognize that because it's new, and we haven't really gotten to see quite the scale of it yet. But what we've done with this technology, with social, with the fact that we have computers in our pockets at all times now, supercomputers.
You were even mentioning to me too, like with the earbud, it's like it's just connected to us, right?
Like if we have these Bluetooth AirPods in our head, the next step is just in our brain. That's the next step, under our skin. And so it's very scary, but it's also very, very interesting because now we're at the point where when we are becoming more aware, we can spread that message quickly. And the speed of transmission of thoughts is now much more effective than it used to be. It used to be we had to broadcast something live, or on television we have to send out a letter, or we'd have to put it in the paper. But now we can communicate instantly, and it's almost becoming this hyper awareness. I have so many friends who I haven't seen in years, but I know what they're doing in their lives.
Yeah.
How weird is that? What level of awareness is that? We have this almost global awareness of what's happening in our environment now. We know that someone's going to see you live streaming and they're going to know that you're in Santa Monica, and they would have never known that before. Right. And we have all these different nodes of consciousness all around the world. You and I have friends around the world, and so now we have a global consciousness of what's going on at all times. And I think that the fact that technology has allowed us to connect on that level will be the tool that we use to wake each other up to the fact that there's much more out there. But the other side of that is that these devices that connect us in such a deep and meaningful way are also entertainment devices. Yeah. They're very entertaining. And they create a lot of dopamine, and they release a lot of feeling good, but with very, very limited or almost non-existent ROI. Yeah. You know?
Right. And there's scientists that are working at these apps, right? There's like people that are like, this is like a new drug, right? And people are enslaved by it, but it can be used as a force for good to help communicate, you know, and to allow the message that basically that you share with the world on how to wake up and basically how to become more aware of like why you are here, why, you know what I mean? I think that most people right now are stuck in just scrolling, right? In search. It's like they're in search of things, right? Yeah. We both do it, right? But it's like we can now become conscious creators, and I think that's what this whole season is about. Right, so like my question to you is, how do you become a conscious creator?
Well, let's first think about it this way. Most of us are only consumers. We're only consuming. It is so important for us to create. Yeah. It doesn't mean that we have to do what we're doing. We have to do interviews or videos, or you have to do painting. Your creation is of your own volition. You can choose what you want to create. But especially in a world now where there's more content, more ideas, more products than ever to consume, creation becomes that much more important, because creation activates something in your brain that essentially enlivens you and awakens you, really, spiritually. Because you have to put something of yourself out there. You have to take something that's on the inside and make it physical reality. And that process of either creating a song or a dance or a website or a painting or a vision or an interview series, that process of pouring your heart into something reveals who you really are. And the more you do that, the closer to your true self you become. And so through your creation, you become more of yourself. And that's how we really are going to share our messages, is through our creations. And the consciousness part of it is just at every turn, trying to get as honest as possible as you can with your work. You'll notice that the greatest creators are the most unapologetic with what they put out there. Yeah. They're not the ones that hold back their message, they're the ones that amplify the volume. I love watching documentaries of like Picasso, or I love seeing things on Da Vinci, or I love looking at great creators like Stanley Kubrick, like looking at these people who are creating this immensely important work and seeing how unapologetic they are. If you look at Ernest Hemingway, he didn't give a fuck, right. You know, because he's out here pouring his soul out. He said, there's nothing to writing, all you do is sit down at the typewriter and bleed, you know? And these types of people show you that you can be completely open and completely vulnerable, and when you put out work as a result of that, consciously knowing that you're pouring yourself out there, others respond to it in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. And so the conscious creator steps into the world knowing that he or she is going to bear his or her soul for the benefit of mankind, and that through this process, not only will it benefit mankind, but it will get them closer to who they are on the inside.
Yeah, gosh. I felt you there, man. Yeah. Like that, I feel like that just gave me awareness of why I do what I do, you know, because I believe that it's such an amazing, that's why it's like never been a better time to be a conscious creator, to be a world-class leader, because not only are you going to figure out what that creation is for you and share that with the world unapologetically, and by doing that in that act, will you inspire so many others to do the same.
Yes.
But it really does. I really do believe that by me creating throughout my entire life, and it's mostly been through content, it's been the one common denominator for me my entire career, it has built my character. It has allowed me to understand myself more and ultimately tap into that pure joy and happiness. And I feel like that's what life is truly about, you know, because I feel life is short. Like I feel like a lot of people don't recognize, like, really, the universe is billions and billions of years, and yet we have, you know, my grandfather just celebrated his 99th birthday. I was like, nice. That was amazing. And
he's going.
He's going. I definitely think he's definitely going above 100. And hopefully I have that. We don't have, but you know what he said to me when I hung out with him? He just really reiterated. He just like, Gerard, first of all, he's like, there is no tomorrow. There is only today. Only today. And I feel like so many of you are waiting for tomorrow instead of actually thinking about what you want to create today. What is it that you want to bring to the world today? Not worrying about how perfect it is, but just being completely imperfect and just creating whatever that may be and sharing that with the world, sharing that message with the world. And again, whether it's painting, writing a book, doing a video series, you know, leveraging social media, being a speaker, yep. Whatever that is, today. Yep. Start today.
So my grandmother died a couple years ago, and it was a big deal for me.
Sorry.
Really big deal. And because, you know, like I told you, she raised me.
Yeah. Wow.
You know.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. God bless. She's with us right now.
Yeah, she's with us. Yeah, she's you know, I've passed the pain threshold and gotten to the wisdom part of it. But it was really difficult. But one thing that she left me a stack of her journals from the early 1980s to the 2008-9. Wow. You know, and to see her thoughts, her private thoughts.
Wow.
From your grandmother,
wow.
Bro, like some raunchy stuff in there too.
What?
But like her being real, 100%. And one of the biggest things that she said that she regretted was not going for it. She was an attorney, and she was an attorney because her father, my great-grandfather, was an attorney. He's still alive, by the way. And she wanted to be a veterinarian. She wanted to be a painter and an artist. She had all these different things she wanted to do. And throughout the years, through a 30-year period, she constantly wrote, I wish I could do more. I wish I would have taken the chance. I wish I would have leapt at the opportunity. I'm not happy. And when I got to read in her own writing, in her own hand, with her cursive, curly pen script that she wrote in, and I could see her just being honest. And before she died, she's a brilliant writer, and she really wanted to go back to school and get her master's in creative writing, just for herself. Yeah. So she was living in the Keys in Florida, and she enrolled she applied for a scholarship at FIU, Florida International University. This was in her 60s. She applied for a scholarship, and she wrote in her journal. She wrote, "I think I can. I think I can. I think I can." In her journal, she's like, "I believe in myself. I can do this," and she was trying to summon that confidence. And I think that over the years, she just dealt with health problems and people telling her she wasn't good enough, and it dampened her spirit. And we don't have to allow that to become our reality. We can step into a place where we can be afraid of what the future holds, but be confident in ourselves. And you can step into a place where you're completely accepting of what comes your way, and you're willing and able to step into your own truth. Whatever you think is important, meaningful, nourishing, and wonderful to you. Not worrying that your family won't accept you, not worrying that maybe the result you're looking for doesn't exactly turn out the way you think it might be, not thinking that it has to look like a storybook, right. Not thinking that you have to follow some linear path, but when you do that and you're able to just live for who you are and what you want right now, not, and she died in her sleep randomly. She wasn't sick.
Yeah.
That's all of us. That's all of us. So let's not have journals filled up with wishes and hopes. Let's not have journals full of regrets and sorrows. And this wasn't her whole journal, but let's not have those journals. Let's make a conscious effort and a commitment to ourselves to make the story that we write one of empowerment, one of I took the opportunity to live for myself, and I'm doing it from a place of love and strength and confidence.
I love that, bro.
You know? Now, today.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow.
Right. I love that. So we're about to get into a part of this episode that I wasn't sure if I was actually going to put it in. But you know what? It's something that I think is a real unique topic that you will definitely find interest in. And believe it or not, it's a story that I've actually never opened up about. And it's all around the sacred journey of psychedelics. I've always been someone who is prayed, that has believed in spirits that are with me, has believed in even, the afterlife, and also in reincarnation and things. Like, I've always believed in these certain things. But last year, it went from believing it to actually seeing it.
You want to go here?
Feeling it.
Okay.
And this was after I really had admiration for you. I've connected with you. Like, I got to meet you and just know that, like, okay, this man is living his authentic character, his truth. After the event, Daniel comes over to me at the after party and he says, "Gerard, I'm going to invite you to something that I don't invite anybody really to. It's sacred, but I believe that this is something that you should do. I believe it's something that would really empower you on a whole nother level, a whole nother realm, a whole nother spectrum. But it's up to you." And he said, "I'm going to go meet with my shaman." And I look back at this moment, and I kid you not, looking back at it, it literally was a moment in my life of The Matrix with Morpheus talking to Neo and saying, "Do you want the red pill or the blue pill?" And I remember in that moment being like, well, no, I'm at the after party, right? I have like all these people, entrepreneurs that came, and I stayed, I networked a little bit, but then I looked over at Digital Jeff and I was like, "Hey bro, what do you think? Daniel's just invited us to this thing." And I remember Digital Jeff saying, like, "Gee, like, think about what we tell, everyone in that audience, right?" It's like, I live by what a Navy SEAL had coached me on, which is basically, if it's the hard thing, the most uncomfortable, the most uncertain thing to do, as long as it doesn't impede on somebody else's happiness, you have to do it, because that's where your ultimate growth and character will lie. So I remember looking at Jeff and being like, well, this is definitely the most uncertain and uncomfortable, hard thing for me to do right now, so I guess that means I have to do this.
Good algorithm.
So I remember you then sitting me down and having a serious conversation with us, and the shaman coming and speaking with us and explaining like, okay, this journey that you're about to go on is a natural journey. It is not recreational. It is something called 5-MeO-DMT. It is actually within us, in our brain, basically located where our third eye really lies.
Pineal.
And then I won't go into myself explaining the DMT, but it is this like vapor that you end up inhaling and holding. And in this moment of holding it and bringing it into basically my soul, within an instant of me thinking, oh my God, am I gonna be able to hold my breath? This whole world opened up. Well, this world, it was literally like I was living as my spirit. It was just sacred geometry, pureness. It literally was like I completely disconnected, and I didn't realize how attached I was. Yeah. We are. We have to go, and it was like a detox.
Huge.
Of literally the 30 plus years of my life. Yeah. You don't realize how much you've gone through in your entire life from the moment you were born. It takes you to the moment you were born.
Yes.
And then disconnects you from anything that you've gone through in your life, negative thoughts, and you go head on with them. Yeah. And it was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my entire life. But I actually tried to punch the shaman. I found this out afterwards. But once I broke through, and once the shaman made me remember that I am safe and I am loved, and that these are stories that I've created in my head. These are limiting beliefs that I've created in my own head.
Yeah.
It was like a whole human gate opened up, and I've never felt more self-love pour into me like that in my entire life.
DMT was the first psychedelic I ever tried. Now DMT is like the most powerful one. So for that to be my first introduction to the psychedelic universe was flooring.
Oh yeah, flooring. I know. I was floored.
I got up from that. And I was with Sarah, and when I got up, I was like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah. You know what's great about it? It gives you a sense for a moment to question everything.
Everything.
You question everything.
Everything. I remember the change that I felt in my spirit. It was one of self-acknowledgement.
Yeah.
That all the stuff that I had gone through, that shell, it's almost like calcification. It just collects around you throughout your life, and with
you shed it.
But unlike therapy that chips away at it, this just sheds it.
Yeah.
And you just completely shed this hard exterior that you've built up to try to protect yourself. And once I shed that, I realized, man, this is a sacred tool. And so I started experimenting in a responsible way with where I could go with this. And over the period of 3 years, I've done journeys with ayahuasca, and each time getting deeper and preparing myself for the challenges that are ahead.
Yeah.
Going back and revisiting old memories of myself. And sometimes you can even go back in these experiences and look at yourself as you were in the past and realize that the things you believed back then weren't true. And you can see how those beliefs back then affected you now.
Yeah.
The things that you believed about yourself as a kid still stick to you as an adult, and they influence the way that you feel about yourself and the things that you do. And so I've used these journeys and these experiences to help to both shape who I am and discard some of the things that were hurting me or holding me back in the past. And it's probably been the biggest tool for me.
Yeah. How do you step into becoming a world-class leader?
Well, the good news is the opportunity is here for everyone. It starts with developing yourself. You have to lead yourself before you can lead others.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who are seeing the example online want to immediately become that, but haven't done the work first.
Yes. Yes.
And that's just a prerequisite.
It's almost like a scary time, because there's a lot of these people out there that are leveraging technology to sell people.
Right. Because the barrier is non-existent.
Right.
There's no barrier. So, but I truly believe that you won't become a world-class leader unless you do the work. And you can have popularity, but it's not the same thing as being a leader.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who I would see out there who have huge followings, but I wouldn't want to be led by them.
Yeah.
So world-class leaders don't need to have gigantic followings. That's the real key, because your impact it's It's who you affect and how they affect others.
Right.
And you can start with a tribe that is small and it grows huge through the impact that you create.
Yes.
It's
Interesting. It's a great point because in an era where we think of our following, the likes, the comments, all the views, the subscribers, all that stuff, because of these tools, but in reality, it's just about people.
Yes.
And you were one of the, I remember telling me this too, like you were like, even if you have 1,000 people, could you imagine having 1,000 people that were highly engaged, that you were affecting, that were here right now?
That's a ton.
Yeah, so it's like, people lose track of like, those are people.
The metrics make things very skewed. Because we're talking in hundreds of thousands, millions, and billions sometimes with the numbers that we talk about on TV for all these different reasons. Numbers are very skewed, but you being a leader there's no correlation between you being a leader and the number of people you're leading, by the way. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is mastering a craft.
Yes.
Mastering a craft.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's 10,000 hours. I don't know if that's the rule. Okay. It's a lot.
It's definitely a lot.
It's a lot.
It's definitely up there.
Yeah, it's up there. It could be more, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
there's no rule.
No, there's no rule.
It just means that you are an expert in your field.
Yes.
Like you have gotten the results in your own life for you to be able to give them to others.
Yes. And from that place, once you've mastered your craft, or you're on the road to mastery, the confidence then comes into play because you will start to see your progress at some point out there, and you're probably working on something right now that you want to master, and you might be at the very beginning stages where you're not seeing that tipping point. But once you see the tipping point and the confidence starts to naturally build in you because you see the distance that you've made, because you see the progress you've made, the confidence becomes part of who you are, and then you can lead others as you confidently master your craft. And I think that it's a combination of truly, truly wanting to give with an incredible attention to what it is you're teaching.
Yeah.
And those two things combined are the ingredients for people wanting to then follow you and be led by you. And then it's a matter of consistently putting out that message over time.
Yeah.
And also not being afraid to pick a topic or a set of things you want to talk about and set of things you want to do, picking a niche or a lane and staying there for a while.
Yeah.
You have to. Look at how long you had to hammer away at one business just to make it to the next one.
So give me some tactics, quick tactics. If I were to, let's just say I'm starting over, I'm an expert, I'm a client of yours. If you were to give me some some few steps that you would want me to take for me to get the business set up and me be able to go out there and start now, making money, being a world-class leader, an expert in my field, an entrepreneur who's a coach, a consultant, an influencer. I want to build my personal brand.
Yeah.
What would be some actual tactics that you would challenge actually our audience to do?
So you're starting from absolute zero. Let's say you're starting from absolute bank account zero and skill set growing. The first thing you want to do is you want to find your first, true fans. Kevin Kelly talks about this. Seth Godin echoes him. You're 1,000 true fans, and it doesn't have to be 1,000. It can be 10. What you do is you take your work, whether it's something that you produce or something that you create or a service you provide, and you take it to 10 people and you say, I have this, try this, what do you think of this, would you buy this, do you like this? You get that engagement from the marketplace. A lot of us keep our ideas in our head, but the business comes when your idea interacts with the marketplace. And you have to be out in the marketplace in order to receive feedback, which allows you to iterate and then recreate it and do it better. The marketplace isn't here, it's out here. So you put your ideas in the marketplace, they get the results, and then you're able to grow yourself. And this is the first thing you have to realize. It doesn't happen up here, it happens out there.
Yeah.
When you build this audience of people, even if it's small, you have to remember that everyone has a voice, and that voice creates ripple effects. When you have people who are raving fans, who love what it is that you have to offer, you don't have to market yourself. They will tell their friends. And of course, the marketing comes in later, but you can provide a world-class experience for someone before you're a world-class leader. And as you consistently do that, you will grow yourself into that leadership position because others, they can't help but talk about you. When people have a good experience, they will share that without you having to push the message.
Yeah. What advice do you give? What have you learned about building a personal brand?
I've learned that everyone wants you to be vanilla, and you should be chocolate. You know, you should be something. You should be. That's why I'm talking about psychedelics. That's why I'm doing things that purposely push the boundaries, because personal branding is so. It's not. Back in the you know, the days of the TV heyday, when, you know, when television when big companies would spend millions and billions of dollars to promote things on television, they would try to make things as one size fits all as possible.
Yeah.
Because they wanted the masses to connect with it. Now, people, especially in our generation, are much more connected to the nuance, to the personality, to the individual. This is why now there are so many genres of music on Spotify. Everyone has a different flavor, a different feel. And I think that the easiest way to stand out as a personal brand is to create things and to share moments that otherwise you would have kept to yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to put your entire life out there. There's always going to be things that I can't film all the time, and I don't want to film all the time. But it's learning how to find the things in your life that in other circumstances would have been private, but you choose to make public, and that level of disclosure, like removing layers from an onion, that level of disclosure allows people to trust you.
Yeah.
And when you are honest about things at a very core level, people say, well, if he's going to be honest about his DMT experiences, if he's going to tell us about his experience with his grandmother leaving her journals behind, that level of disclosure means he's going to be honest in his other things too. Yeah. You know? And that compounds over time.
So talk to me about how your career evolved. Like 19 years old, typically you're going to college. I know at 19 for me, I was like, I want to make my parents proud. They're thinking you got to get educated. You know, did you, at that point in your life, was your father, was he trying to push you into anything, like into college? Was your mom very, very important with telling you had to go get a college degree?
You know, we have a lot of really smart people and all in different fields. There was never a pressure to perform at a certain level, because I think that they already knew I was going to be okay. But I do think that just with the way that, like especially the time that I was coming out of college, the industry itself was really changing, like just the job market in general. Because you got to think, I was graduating college around 2008, and the housing crash, and everyone was trying to figure out what they were going to do. Like there was no clear path with me leaving college. Yeah. In the middle of college, I took a little break. I was with my first long-term girlfriend. We've been together for 3 years, like throughout high school, through the beginning of college, and I was like, okay, I need a break from all this. And I went overseas, and I went to go study abroad in Greece.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I went over there for a year, and I got my first piece of clarity. I was taking a cruise to Israel. I was on a ship. I was going to Israel and Egypt, and as I stood on the mast of the ship, and I saw the body of Egypt just coming into view from the fog, I looked at that and I said, I created this. I set a chain of events in motion that got me on this ship, and now I'm going into Egypt. And I did that.
That's crazy.
You know?
Yeah. Those are your choices.
Yeah. And that was the first time that I'd really realized the connection between my thoughts, my actions, and the results of my life. I was like, if I think something, I can create actions around those thoughts, and then there will be real results. Yeah. And what if I do that with more intention? Yeah. What would happen? And so that was the first kind of glimpse of that. And then I started to think, how can this apply to my career once I got back? And I thought, well, maybe I don't have to do the thing everyone thinks I should do, which at the time was law. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. Just because I had multiple lawyers in my family, so it seemed like the easiest thing to jump into. And I took a hard step back, and I thought, okay, what does this mean? And I always knew I wanted to do something with entertainment, with I don't know whether it was going to be an actor or a producer or something with cameras, and I knew there were opportunities. I didn't really know how to put all the pieces together. And so when I left college, I actually ended up kind of just taking a bunch of different jobs to try to create time for myself to figure it out. And I worked everywhere. I worked at restaurants, and I worked in a museum gift store with selling dinosaur bones and all this different stuff. I worked at UPS with the brown shorts, delivering packages.
I can picture some brown shorts, bro.
No tan lines, Put the baby oil on, I was on point. Nice. But at the end of the day, all those things were kind of just me trying to fill a gap until I got to the point where I could get some clarity. Right. And so I started acting, and I started acting in films. And I did some Tyler Perry stuff, not just the TV shows. And I did just different short films and different stuff in Atlanta, because that market was blowing up, the film market was blowing up. And once I started doing this film work, I had another realization. I said, oh wait, there's a way to combine creativity and business. Because for the first film I produced, I had to go around and raise money. And I had to figure out how to raise money. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is business.
Right.
This isn't just art, this is business. And so then my mindset shifted. I said, entrepreneurship is the way, is a universal tool to get everything else that I want. And my full attention went to entrepreneurship, hoping that I would come back to film later. Here we are, you know, hoping that I would come back. And so over the years, over those next period of 7 or 8 years, I started trying different business models and talking about what I was doing in public. And those conversations coincided very well with the rise of social media. And because of those conversations, people wanted to hear more of what I had to say, and that grew what now is my public platform.
Right. Wow, man, that's dope. I really love seeing the journey of when someone discovers the power of entrepreneurship. Do you feel though like that there's different levels to this entrepreneurship game?
Oh, certainly, yeah. I mean, I think like the first part of it is just building the confidence to know that you have something of value to offer. Because most of us, especially looking at the perspective of a job, which there's nothing wrong with jobs. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the job itself, but the idea that you work for someone else means that someone else is extracting value from you rather than you creating it and offering it of yourself. And so a lot of people don't even realize they have something to give.
Right.
And that realization that, you know, for me, it was my first business. It was freelancing, and I was doing SAT, ACT test prep tutoring. I thought to myself, what am I good at? What are my skills? And I'm really good at like teaching. I can teach math problems and reading. And so I started charging $100 an hour for students and families to come, and I would teach them, and I would do classes, and it was really working. I was like, man, this is way better than flipping burgers. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But once I realized people would pay for something that I could do, I thought, oh, well, then I could learn other stuff, and they pay for that too. And I could find other people. If I can't solve the problem, I can find other people and bring that in, and they'll pay for that.
Yeah.
So like realizing that you have something of value to offer is the first step. And then over a period of years, you start to like refine your model, and you become more comfortable in your zone of genius, and you become better at attracting people who are better at supplementing where you lack. And then over time, you get better at building teams, and you do level up. Yeah. But there's certainly no like step-by-step guide to it. Yeah. And it can come. I always say you need both luck and hard work. Yeah. So you're gonna have some luck, and if you just have luck and you don't follow up with hard work, the luck fades. Yeah. Sometimes you just do really hard work and then you end with the luck. Yeah. You know, but you need both. Right. And so that can come at any time, and the levels do exist. Yeah. But you'll have to find out when yours kick in.
Talk to me a little about self-awareness. Yeah. Like, I feel, as I've gotten to know you, that's something that's like a power of yours. I feel like you really understand your strengths. I feel like you take the time to master your skills, go all in at specifically what you're great at doing. But like, when you first started becoming an entrepreneur, how did you become self-aware of what it is that you're good at? I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with this, right? They don't know, like, what am I actually great at?
Yeah, I mean, zone of genius is a word I like to use. Okay. Or a phrase. Zone of genius. I have always known that I am good at speaking and good at communicating. And realizing your skills early is a blessing. But I think the true self-awareness comes when you can like take those skills that you know you're already good at and see the impact that they have on others. I didn't really become aware of what I feel that my purpose was until I started seeing that what I do has an impact on others. And that really awakened my sense of purpose. Self-awareness it's going to mean something different to everybody, but for me, it just means that you're deeply in touch with who you are, and who you are and what you do are the same thing. When you can get to a point where who you are and what you do for work are the same, where who you portray yourself to be online and who you actually are similar or very close to the same thing, that's when you can start to come in line and really speak from a place that is honest, that's true, and it just is rooted in what you know about yourself. And you don't have to tell people, I'm so self-aware, look at me how aware I am. Yeah. People can sense that. Right. And you can lead from a place of not instructing. You can say, I'm going to lead by example of just being exactly who I am.
Yeah.
And others will pick up on that cue even if they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They'll see your honesty, they'll see your integrity, they'll see the way that you carry yourself, the way you talk to people, the way you hold yourself, the way that troubling situations might come into your life and you remain confident, strong.
Yeah.
And even if they don't know why they're doing it, they'll emulate you.
Yeah.
And that for me has been like a big realization, that this awareness that I've gotten just from going through things in my life.
Yeah, through those experiences is really what helps.
And I can pass on to others without having to instruct them in it.
Yeah.
It's just a way of being.
Yes. People, like, it's almost like they're plagued by fear. And I talked about this in my finale, right? What do you feel, Daniel? And what are fears that you have faced in your life that you have had to overcome, and how do you overcome them?
I fear that, if I'm being honest, I fear that all this is for nothing. I fear that like all the documenting that we do and all the, I fear that I'll spend my life doing something that I think is important only to realize that it's not. Later, and it will be too late to change it. And that's one of the reasons why I really try to stay as checked in as possible to what I'm actually feeling, because we were talking about this earlier, that you can be on autopilot, just filming yourself, recording yourself, just being in the world, but being almost unconscious, completely. It's almost like you're living off of an algorithm, and it's like the algorithm of social media, the algorithm of other people, the algorithm of like life in 2018. You sometimes find yourself doing things that you didn't necessarily entirely plan to do. I'll think sometimes even when I'm driving in the car and I'll say, Google is directing me where it wants me to go, and it's telling me the best way to get there, but I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to get there. They're mapping me, and they're mapping millions of other people right now. Right. There are all these invisible systems, whether it's social media or the apps we use or the communities that we're part of, that help to make the decisions that we contribute to on a daily basis. Yeah. And I often wonder, like, if I were to step outside of all that and truly have independent thought and action, if my choices would be the same, because I'm being influenced all the time by things. Right. And at scale, I'm influencing others. Yeah. So then I'm being influenced by these forces that I can't always see, and then I'm going and spreading messages to others.
Being a part of it.
Yeah, and so I need to make sure I'm very clean and clear on what's coming in and what's going out. And since I can't always control that or even see that, it can be scary, you know?
Yeah. So like, how would you, what piece of advice would you give to that person to break through that fear they have, that lack of confidence?
Lack of confidence, in my experience, just what I've felt in my own life moving through those barriers, we all have those. I don't think people pop out of the womb confident. I think there's like bravado and there's braggadocio, and then there's true confidence. Yeah. And the first thing you have to realize is that building a personal brand, if we're just talking about this, the personal brand aspect of it, not everyone that you see online who has a big personal brand is confident. Yeah. So that's certainly not a prerequisite. In fact, we probably know people who are one way on the personal brand and online, and then they're not that way in real life. And you're like, well, what's the difference? True confidence can be subtle. It doesn't need to be something that's in your face, something that is overpowering. Right. And it can come from just knowing that, one, you have experience with what you're doing, and you get that slowly over time. And you have to take intentional small steps in the direction that you want to build confidence in, knowing that along the way you're not going to feel confident, and the confidence comes after the act. We want to gain confidence in order to do the act, but the confidence comes through the act. So it's chicken and egg. Right. You know, and so know that going in. Also know that we're humans, and the people who are watching you and the people who you want to connect with have the same fears of being judged that you do. Yeah. And you getting up there and sharing your message, even if you're not feeling confident, is leading by example. Yeah. So there's a lesson that you're teaching even by doing it despite what you're feeling. Yeah. So again, it's the same, going back to, you can communicate strength, confidence, and resilience just through the way that you act and the way that you are, without having to say, I'm so confident right now. Right. And so it's okay to feel that way and still push through that in order to get to that point where you eventually do feel good. One of the things that is really, really powerful is putting yourself in difficult or uncomfortable situations on purpose. So there is zone of genius where you stick to your strengths and you increase those strengths, but there's also purposely putting yourself through struggle, anti-fragile, building yourself through challenge. One of those ways, like simple, easy one-off, jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is something that I can do where it completely levels the playing field of who I am in my online persona life, or who it has nothing to do with money, there's nothing to do with intelligence to a certain extent. It's about the effort and dedication you put in, and it's about really just
energy too.
Heart and energy. And it's very humbling. The first time I started training, it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I stepped in there, and I was powerlifting at the time, so I was probably about 20 or 30 pounds heavier. Wow. And I'm like, I'm the strongest motherfucker in here. And I remember within the first couple of days, young girls were choking me out, and I was just getting owned. And really, I was really feeling.
Wow.
Yeah. No, and I was really feeling crestfallen. Like I was feeling like I got punctured. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because that humility brought me down to complete base level with my physicality. Because strength for me is a strength. I'm very strong in the gym. I can lift very heavy weights, and it's always been a strength for me. And when that strength was cut out from under me and I had to start over again and build back up, I said, well, who am I physically if I'm not Mr. Strongman? And so I've done that systematically with a lot of different things in my life. And you get to your core when you go back to zero. So it's like, okay, I'm in a different industry now than I used to be. I have to learn all over again. Look at Elon Musk when he's like, I'm going to start doing rockets now. He's not a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
And he had to figure that out. And I think that you can find your core by putting yourself in unfamiliar situations. And what happens then is that you can only rely on your energy. And the energy that you put out attracts the situations that come into your life, attracts the people. It attracts the good luck. It's the momentum. And you can find that you can succeed in any situation if you have the energy. Okay. And when you strip away some of the things that you think you think you're good at, it reveals your character, and your character is reflective of the energy that you bring. And that has been, it's been incredibly useful for me, because I can always go back to, if I'm not good at something, if something is confusing, if I'm scared of something, at a core level, I know that I have enough inner strength and wisdom and knowledge gained over the years and fortitude to be able to persevere in any situation. And that means that at a real level, I never actually really doubt myself. And it's been the number one thing for me.
So this was definitely one of the most powerful episodes that we've ever shot. Can't believe we went into psychedelics, went into all things about lifestyle, being a lifestyle entrepreneur, building a 7-figure business and personal brand, and then most importantly, how to become a conscious creator in all things consciousness. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely comment, let me know what you think about this episode. What were the different parts that really got your brain thinking, and just, what are your feelings towards all of this? Comment, engage with our community, and I appreciate you guys being on the whole journey. Remember, this is more than just a show, it is a movement. I want to see who out there wants to step up to become a world-class leader. So if you want to work with me and my team of world-class coaches, then make sure to comment world-class in the comments, and look into the description for more information on how to apply. Guys, I love it. Make sure to share, like, subscribe. It's your boy GA. Until next episode, peace. Guys, so if each one of these episodes resonates with you, the lifestyle, the impact, just really like the whole model that all these entrepreneurs represent, it's something that I think, really helps them stand as a world-class leader. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to give you guys some extra value other than just watching these episodes. So I created a report, and it's called The Map. It's basically a guide to give you and teach you how to create this influence, this impact, this income that a lot of the entrepreneurs and leaders that I bring on the show have. The MAP stands for monetizing your expertise, amplifying your message, and positioning your personal brand. It's free. All you guys got to do is click the link in the description, and we'll email it to you free of charge. And it's something that I wish I had when I first became a creator. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching Leaders Create Leaders. Peace.
I just wanna see the light. I just wanna see the light.